Long before the first selfie, the ancient Greeks and Romans had a story about a person who was excessively obsessed with his own physical appearance. According to the tale, Narcissus was a handsome young man who traveled the world searching for someone he could fall in love with. He rejected a nymph named Echo, and afterward he saw his own reflection in a river and fell in love with it. Unable to separate himself from his reflection, Narcissus eventually drowned. At the moment of his death, a flower grew in that place, and today we call that flower the daffodil. This myth reflects the core idea of narcissism, that is, an exaggerated and sometimes harmful self-preoccupation. However, narcissism is not just a personality type mentioned in magazines. In fact, it is a set of traits that have been classified and carefully studied by psychologists. The psychological definition of narcissism is an inflated and grandiose self-image. Narcissists, in varying ways, see themselves as more beautiful, more intelligent, and more important than others, and they believe they deserve special treatment. Psychologists describe narcissism as a personality trait in two forms: grandiose narcissism and vulnerable narcissism. There is also a more extreme form, which we will discuss again shortly, called narcissistic personality disorder. Grandiose narcissism is the most recognized form and is characterized by extroversion, dominance, and attention-seeking behavior. Grandiose narcissists pursue attention and power. They may appear in society as politicians, celebrities, or cultural leaders. Of course, not everyone who seeks a powerful position is a narcissist. Many people desire such roles for positive reasons, such as fulfilling their potential or improving people's lives. However, narcissistic individuals seek power for the status and attention that come with it. Vulnerable narcissists, on the other hand, may appear quieter and more introverted. They have a strong internal sense of entitlement, but they easily feel threatened or offended. In both types, the darker side of narcissism eventually emerges and becomes visible over time. Narcissists often display selfish behavior. Therefore, narcissistic leaders may make risky or unethical decisions, and narcissistic partners may be dishonest or unfaithful. When their grand self-image is challenged, they may react with resentment, anger, and aggression. This situation can be compared to a disease in which the sufferers feel good about themselves, but the people around them are harmed. When these behaviors reach extreme levels, they are classified as a psychological disorder called narcissistic personality disorder. It is found in approximately 1 to 2% of the population and is generally more common in men. This diagnosis is usually made for adults. Young people, especially children, can be quite self-centered. However, this may be considered a normal part of development. The 5th edition of the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, DSM-5, describes several traits associated with narcissistic personality disorder. These include a grand sense of self-importance, difficulties with empathy, a sense of entitlement, and a need for admiration or attention. What makes these traits a true personality disorder is their ability to take over a person's life and cause serious problems. Imagine using your spouse or children as a source of attention and admiration instead of caring for them. Or imagine rejecting constructive criticism about your performance and telling everyone who tries to help you that they are wrong. So, how does a person become a narcissist? Twin studies indicate a strong genetic component, although it is not known which specific genes are involved. At the same time, environmental factors are also important. Parents who excessively praise and place their child on a pedestal may foster grandiose narcissism. On the other hand, cold and controlling parents may contribute to vulnerable narcissism. narcissism appears more frequently in cultures that value autonomy and self-promotion. For example, in the United States, narcissism as a personality trait has been observed to increase since the 1970s. The community-focused mindset of the 1960s gave way to the self-esteem movement and the rise of materialism. In more recent years, social media has increased opportunities for self-promotion. However, there is no clear evidence that social media causes narcissism. Rather, it provides narcissistic individuals with a tool for social status and self-presentation. So, can narcissists develop and transform these negative traits? Yes. Anything that encourages honest reflection on one's own behavior patterns and promotes compassion toward others, such as psychotherapy or empathy-building practices, can be helpful.